Uh, what's good, y'all? How are you? No, no, wait, let me do it again. Hello, my friend. How are you doing today? I'm working on a James Baldwin type thing, trying to sound like James Baldwin, real astute, and real intellectual, and everything. But no, I just wanted to make a quick video based on BMT, and KS, and the Passport Bros, and overseas women. I mean, women in other places. I heard that. I heard the comment that Kevin Samuels had made. I watched Aaron's video. That's a real cool video, man. I dropped out at the last 5 minutes because you was just getting on the monkey man. He was trolling you or whatever he called himself. But the point in general is that I'm out here in the park. I just got out the gym, getting it in. I was supposed to fly over. I was supposed to fly back to Santiago last night, but when I got to Newark Penn Station. I was supposed to take one stop to Newark International Airport. And then I get on the wrong train, and before I know it, I'm in Princeton. So by the time I get back to Newark International Airport, it's too late for me to do check-in. So I'm flying with United. It's the first time I've flown with United, and then I don't like their check-in procedure. You got to check in an hour before, or at least an hour before. But anyway, the thing about the going overseas, what Kevin Samuels was talking about, he may talk about it at some point in time. You want to find yourself a woman for your life. Now he's talking about passport bros that don't make no sense. Now the thing is, if he's talking about you want a woman for your life and once you tire of sex tourism, then you can actually go over there and you can do what he says. No, let me correct that. Don't do what he says. That's when you see the difference in what he says. That's what I'm saying. When you just interested in sex tourism, doesn't matter. You fly over there, you show up at the whole stroll, and you wind up banging honeys all dang day. If you're going to be there for two weeks, most of you guys are setting up 2-3 dates a day. So when you come back, you're looking at your roster when you're sitting in that plane getting ready to depart, thinking, hey, I boned 15 babes in the last week and a half. Oh man. But there's another way of looking at it. For those of you that are looking for an actual woman, for a long-term relationship, overseas is it's a better place to be. All you have to do is make sure that you're vetting the women that you're dealing with. Now one of them dudes had asked Aaron, how do you know if a woman is trying to finesse? Well, the thing is, you seldom do. I mean, there are blatant cues, but you always got to be on your P's and Q's with that, man. Because sometimes, you can be generous with some of these women and throw them something every once in a while. But what happens is also that, some of them, they may come at you, let me see if I can get a little more. Just last night, I had a woman tell me 2 weeks ago she wanted to go to school to be a nurse and she needed some money for the program. So, I laid 3,000 pesos on her to go register for the program. And that was 2 weeks ago. Somehow she didn't register for the program. Then she tells me they call her back, says that program is filled, but they can allow her to enroll in the surgical tech program. I'm like, well, go do that then. Because, listen, if a person wants to do something to make themselves better over there, it would only be fair for you to at least offer some help. Now, if a babe hits you up talking about, when she knows you coming, can you go get her a fancy cell phone? Nah, I can't do that. But you need a cell phone you don't have a job for. But if a babe hits you up talking about, she wants to take this occupational or vocational program at the school, it's only fair that you would want to help her out. There's no big deal with that. I mean, you figure, especially if it's 3,000 pesos, which in Dominican pesos, which would be about $50. Wouldn't it be it's somewhere between 50 and 60. So it wouldn't be 60, but it maybe $52, $51. If you can do that, that's not a big deal. So how can you tell if she's always looking to finesse you? You really can't, because everybody works their angle a different way. If you can tell the easiest hustlers, because they'll just come out with, my grandmother's sick. Oh man, I got a cold. But some of the more sophisticated ones may have long, drawn-out, elaborate stories. So your best way to rebut those type of parlays, the best way that you can deal with that is just to not have any interest in anything that doesn't benefit you. All right? If it doesn't benefit you, then you don't really need to deal with that woman. Well, whatever her sob story is, you know? And so my thing is, speaking with respect to, I can't speak about Colombia, but with respect to Dominican Republic, with respect to DR, if you want to meet women, what you're going to have to do is put yourself in the class of women that you want to meet. And that's what's incredibly difficult in DR, unless you're in Santo Domingo, because most of the other places, it's a real conformist society. So people, they don't really rock the boat. Everybody tries to fit in and go along because, no one wants to be ostracized if you live on an island. So this is why you talk to a lot of people and they really won't put in any effort because they don't know. No one has ever told them the reward of making an effort to do anything. So what happens is you get people, they just expect everything to be handed to them. And as you can tell, that never happens to no one anywhere. So if you're going to be in DR and you're looking for a reliable long-term partner, what you would have to do is put yourself amongst the people that you would like to hang out with. If you're into, like me, if I'm into going to the gym and then house music and then outdoorsman type stuff, then those are the things that you're going to want to do. There'll be women in those groups, and the best part about the women in those groups is usually those things have a fee. So those women would have had to pay the fee to obtain access to get into that, to get into the gym, to get into not really the club because women get in free, but to get into the part of where you're not just playing salsa and merengue, you're playing a different type of music. You got to have a genuine interest in that. If you like the art museums and that type of thing, if you like being outdoors, all of the excursions and the wilderness and the recreational things, they usually come with a fee. It's a low fee, but you really have a better opportunity of meeting employed women with real jobs, so that's one way you can deal with that. Kevin Samuels, and then look, man, everybody's got their own hustle. I figured out on this thing right here. Everybody's got their own angle of trying to employ, so if he wants you to stay in the United States and deal with these big angry fat women, that's cool. But if you don't want to do that, you have an alternative. All right. For the guys that go over there, the passport bros that go over there for sex tourism, they can do whatever they want to do. Now he's got a point. At some point, you're gonna want to mature up and wizen up and build a family. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I can't speak for everybody. Some of you guys might want to be like Warren Buffett, just kicking it till you're 78, just kicking and sticking. Some of you guys might want to do that. Absolutely fine. But for the guys that want a family, overseas is the best place to do it. Why wouldn't you want to be over there? I mean, I would not recommend bringing her here, but if you're situated enough, and the thing about it is, you can situate yourself relatively easy over here to keep your family over there. Because it's not like this is not new. There are people all over the world that do this, man. There are guys. I'm here in New York, so there were guys here in New York that they still have their family in India, they still have their family in China, they still have their family in Estonia, they still have their family in Guatemala. They just have their life here, and then when they work hard here and then take all the proceeds, they'll live like a hermit here. Which would mean they wouldn't be in Kevin Samuels' his market of his demographic anyway. Kevin Samuels' demographic is men with money here that want to spend money here. A lot of those guys, they'll work like a mule here to send all that money or save all that money back home. I used to work with a guy back in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. When was that? Maybe 18 years ago, 17 years ago, something like that. Yeah, I used to work with a guy, man. He was from Ecuador. Actually, yeah. Well, the first guy was from Jamaica. The second guy was from Ecuador. The second guy was from Ecuador, right? So he was working like a hog here, He was working on transmissions at that Ford dealership they had down there, when they had a Ford dealership down in that side. And then he was doing transmissions on the side and everything, and he would take all his money, and then when he showed me a picture of his house back in Ecuador, this house was beautiful. Big old giant mansion with like 6 acres of land. That was his house. And then I also worked under a guy when I was mentoring as an auto mechanic, or he was Jamaican. Noel was Jamaican. worked down there in Bay Ridge, Volvo. He's probably still down there. But Noel was working so hard, right? When he would go home twice a year, 3 times a year, something like that. Go home for 2 or 3 weeks. You know, Noel got a big old house over there. When he found out, he said, he took this money and he started his own bus company. So, he bought what we would consider minivans in the United States. They would consider a bus over there. So he bought himself a couple of buses, a couple of them commercial chassis minivans like a Nissan Urvan or a Toyota Hiace. He bought a couple of those and started his own bus company. So, if you live like a hermit over here, guys are doing it. And this is the immigrant class of people. This is first generation. They just came here, So if you were born and bred DOS, FBA, regular American, you can do the same thing. All they did was set the template. You could go do it better. If you got your wife over there in, Aaron was talking about Medellin. All right, so we're speaking of Medellin then. All right, so if you picked a woman and you decide that you want this woman to be your wife, there was another comment in there. Go meet that woman's family. You want to meet her family, man, because you want to know what you're dealing with. Right? That woman might be a bum. Her family might be bums. They might have a trend. They might have the stink of bumness on them. You need to know that, because that means how far she's going to advance up the tree. That's you. All right. If you are an entrepreneur or so, whatever it is you do, man. If you worker and you're taking your vacation, you got to limit how far bums get up the chain to your brain. Some bums are just, I'm just going to hit it. You throw a couple beans, and then she come over. She give me the tail. I throw her some rice-a-roni. I throw her some pesos, and I'm out. But she's never going to elevate herself past this level right here. You got levels to yourself. She's never going to get past level 3. That's just the way, because the way her background is, and the way she's set up. But I can stab her around for a couple of minutes. I can stab her up a couple of times every week or whatever, every other week. You're going to meet a lot. You got to be prepared to think like this, because you're going to meet a lot of women who are not worth your time. They're not. Well, I can't say they're not worth your time. I'm going to say they're not worth building with. You're going to meet a lot of women who that's what they're good for. And you shouldn't be ashamed about it, because what happens is, if you listen to the gynocracy, you should feel for her and then take pity on her and then all of that stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work for you, man, because once she starts asking you for the favors, she's going to eat you alive with all of that. And then now, you done found yourself locked down to some meathead, especially for those of you that want a family. I remember hearing about white dudes on DR1. They thought the same thing. They didn't want any complications, so they just wind up getting themselves an old hooker. And then at some point, the hooker got pregnant. The hooker got pregnant with his child, and this woman's got no class. She's got no skills. She's got no education. So what kind of mother you think she's going to be? She's going to be a hood rat mama. And now he's stuck with this woman. That's why I'm saying you got to know at what point, how far she's going to make it up the chain of your brain. How far is she going to find herself on, in your mind and your thoughts? You got to know this stuff. So when my man asked, I can't remember his name now, but he was one of the live chatters. He asked Aaron, how do you know she's trying to finesse? That's how you know. You don't know. You just always have to be on your P's and Q's. If it doesn't benefit you, don't do it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I was set to fly over there yesterday. I just pushed my flight back till tomorrow morning, because I messed up and hopped on the wrong train. Right? But the thing about it is that, the person I was talking to, jeez, man. The person I was talking to, they wait till I get there to tell me, no, wait a minute. It was 4 o'clock yesterday. Yes, it was 4 p.m. yesterday. That money I had sent her to register for that class, that was all the money. I don't have a way to get there today, because the class was on a Saturday and a Thursday or something like that, to be a surgical instrumentation technician. And I was like, So I don't have any money to get there, not even bus fare. I'm like, well, all right. I just, and also you got to be ready with your short responses. Because a lot of times they use that to draw you in. And what I said was, okay, I'm on my way to the airport. So, that's all I wanted to hear about that. You see, what you're saying, what you're telling me now doesn't benefit me. I sent you the money to register for the class. You didn't register for the one you told me about. You registered for another one. Okay, that's great. At least I know you're on your way to achieve something, but everything else in your life is not my responsibility. So I get back to the hotel, told her, last night I told her I postponed my trip till Saturday because I wasn't going to make the check-in. And then she tells me, oh, I don't have any internet minutes or whatever. I'm like, okay. And that was the end of the conversation for that night. Because I'm like, look, man, you just can't be drawn in. You have to know your level of engagement all the time. And that's how you know if you're being finessed. All right? And another thing is, now I don't want to get into that right now, but I just want to say that Aaron made a great video, and I just want to add some other things I think that he didn't go into detail that much about, but I didn't want to make this video that long because those long videos take too long to upload. This one is already at 16 minutes. I thought I would have it like at 4 or 5 minutes, but anyway, man, yeah, so that's what I thought about the Kevin Samuels thing and what you could do about it. All right, guys.